Part 33. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 322. Yes. I heard that the young lady is only 17 years old, which is really amazing, then someone else said. Yan Yu. Lu Wenhua went out. Immediately afterwards, a waiter came in with food. As the base representatives looked at the exquisite dishes, all the thoughts in their hearts turned into ashes, and they couldn't help but look at the dishes on the table. It is indeed the Thunder base. It is indeed a vegetable base run by the lady. Dishes like this would still be a top-notch treat even before the end of the world. Lu Wenhua also came back at this time. You're welcome, please, Lu Wenhua said to everyone while sitting down. Blue Snake also invited everyone to eat. Everyone said a few polite words to each other and started immediately. As soon as the dishes entered their mouth, everyone's taste buds were so moved that they wanted to cry. The base representatives repeatedly praised the excellent food at the Thunder base and enjoyed the meal happily. Because they represented their respective bases, although they were very greedy, they did not dare to ignore their image and eat as much as they wanted, which seemed quite restrained. About 5 minutes after the dinner started, Len Ning finally arrived late. When everyone saw a young girl walking into the room, the eyes of all the representatives lit up. Especially Yan Yu, when he saw Len Ning, he almost couldn't recognize him. That was his classmate before the end of the world. I saw that the girl was as beautiful as a flower, exuding a confident and powerful aura, and her temperament even surpassed her beauty. As soon as Len Ning appeared, the representatives immediately stopped eating and stood up one after another. I've met Miss then, they all bowed to Len Ning. When they come here, Hall Master Lan is always there to receive them. Later, the young lady agreed to receive them only after receiving Hall Master Ian's application. The young lady is Mr. Lei's younger sister, so she can also be regarded as the owner of the Thunder base. It was a great honor for them to be personally received by the owner of the Thunder base. The lady's move also represents the importance the Thunder base attaches to these bases. A smile appeared on Len Ning's face. You're welcome. Len Ning is late, so I hope you can bear with me, Len Ning said, cupping his fists and returning a salute. The place is shabby and the hospitality is poor. Don't be offended. Where? Miss, the reception was so generous and touching, a base representative said. That's right. To be honest, I haven't had such a sumptuous meal since the end of the world, another base representative followed. Yes. Our Shenhuo base can barely eat vegetables, not to mention meat. For a moment, everyone changed their words to please Len Ning. Yan Yu looked at Len Ning, who was being sought after by everyone, with mixed emotions in his heart. Before the end of the world, although Len Ning was the top student in the class and his grades were always ranked first, his presence was extremely low. But today, she has transformed into a bright pearl, extremely dazzling. As long as you like it? Let's continue eating. After the meal, I will personally take you to visit the vegetable base, Len Ning said, and went to sit down in the seat specially reserved for her next to the Blue Snake. Then, everyone continued to eat. As the host, many people naturally wanted to curry favor with Len Ning and toast her. After Len Ning had a drink, he stopped. Then Blue Snake stepped forward and became Len Ning's substitute. Fortunately, everyone toasted to Len Ning just to make a good impression, not to embarrass her, so there was no force. When toasting to Blue Snake, representatives from various bases also said good things and were very complimentary. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 323. Because the food was so good, the base representatives actually ate for a full hour and a half. After having a full meal, Len Ning took representatives from major bases to visit the vegetable base as scheduled. The first stop was the bean seedling experimental field. This field is specially used to grow bean sprouts, Len Ning introduced to the crowd. Growing bean sprouts is the simplest and easiest job for us wood-type superpowers, Len Ning said, waving to a wood-type superpower who was resting not far away. The wood-type superpower immediately ran towards the side. I placed the two weakest second-level mid-level wood-type superpowers in the vegetable base here, Len Ning said calmly. The representatives of the bases widened their eyes. The weakest one? A mid-level second-level wood-type superpower? Since when can the word weak be used to describe a strong wood-type person in the middle of the second level? Because the land in the vegetable base is limited, I have arranged most of the land to be used for other crops. Only this field is left, which can be used to plant some bean sprouts, Len Ning continued. The recruitment of workers in the base is also limited. Some couldn't keep up. 8 workers worked with 2 of them, and some couldn't keep up. It is not difficult to spawn bean sprouts. Even for a second-level intermediate superpower, it only takes less than an hour to spawn bean sprouts for a quarter of a field. But it takes a lot of time for workers to soak the bean seeds in advance, scatter the bean seeds, pick the bean sprouts, and organize the bean sprouts. In today's vegetable base, because the land is too limited, it is no longer the wood-type superpowers that determine the production volume, but the workers who cooperate with the wood-type superpowers in planting and harvesting. However, this is not something to worry about. She had already asked her eldest brother for land, and he agreed to give her more land. Of course, in addition to land, she also invested a lot of money in the laboratory, asking them to step up research and development and quickly produce the advanced agricultural tools she knew in her previous life. With the model description and simple drawings based on her memories from her previous life, she believed that it wouldn't take long for the finished product to be ready. Everything was within her plan. As long as these bases purchase vegetables from her, she can quickly increase production capacity. At this time, the second-level intermediate wood element user had arrived in front of Len Ning and saluted Len Ning respectfully. Yeah, Len Ning responded. These are representatives from major bases who came to visit our vegetable base. Show us how you usually grow bean sprouts. Yes, the man immediately accepted the order. Then, under the curious gaze of everyone, the second-level intermediate wood attribute user gave birth to bean sprouts. Everyone was surprised to see the bean seeds sprouting and growing as if they were alive. This speed of birth is amazing. If they could have more wood-type superpowers like this in their base, the vegetable supply situation in the base would be much better. Miss, how many wood-type experts do you have here? One person couldn't help but ask Len Ning. Everyone also looked at Len Ning. There are 108 people including me. I am at the 4th level, and there is a 3rd level below. The rest are all at the 2nd level, Len Ning said with a smile. Everyone's eyes widened. For 4th level, the person who just asked the question almost choked on his own saliva. Are there still 4th level wood-type superpowers? The others also suspected that they heard wrongly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 324. But he saw Len Ning nodding towards the man. It's a pity. It's extremely difficult to advance from level 2 to level 3. Talent and opportunity are both indispensable. Otherwise, I wouldn't have only one level 3 wood element powerhouse here, Len Ning said with some regret. Representatives of all bases. Is there any difference between advancing from the 2nd level to the 3rd level and from the 1st level to the 2nd level? Someone asked curiously. Obviously, the person asking the question did not know this knowledge. When the man asked, someone also looked at Len Ning. Obviously, there is more than one person who does not know this knowledge. Of course it's different. Ordinary people rely on talent to awaken their powers. People with talents can awaken their powers at the right time and become superpowers. But talent can also be strong or weak, as can physical fitness. There is a gap between the second and third levels of superpowers. Not all superpowers can reach the third level. Looking at everyone's puzzled expressions, Len Ning continued to explain, only those with strong talent and good physical fitness have the opportunity to reach the bottleneck of advancing from the second level to the third level. Then, they will have the opportunity to break through the bottleneck and enter the third level. The strength of third level superpowers is completely different from that of second level superpowers. In fact, strictly speaking, only third level superpowers and above can be called powerful superpowers. Everyone was shocked. They had never heard of Len Ning's remarks. What I said may be a bit empty. Let's do this. Len Ning suddenly stopped talking when he caught a glimpse of Li Feng running from the front. Everyone followed Len Ning's gaze and looked at Li Feng. Miss, after a while, Li Feng ran to Len Ning. Without taking a breath, he quickly saluted Len Ning. He knew about the lady's reception of representatives from major bases, and he had arranged many things according to the lady's instructions early in the morning. The lady had told him before that he would come to her after finishing his work and asked him to follow her to see the world. He just arranged things and ran over in a hurry. Fortunately, it's not too late. Yes. Is Zhao Cheng in the sweet potato field now? Len Ning asked. Zhao Cheng is the wood element user who advanced to the third level yesterday. Len Ning directly rewarded him with a house as promised. He said at that time that he was moving the next day and wanted to ask her for leave, but she refused. He also told Zhao Cheng to rest after today. It is to deal with these base representatives. Yes. The chicken farm wants a batch of sweet potatoes, and Zhao Cheng is rushing to get the goods. Li Feng replied, he is moving, and he is planning to treat him to a party to celebrate. Later, he said that it would be delayed for 2 days, so he thought he would do more things today. Please note which day it is, and remind me to send a gift when the time comes, Len Ning said with a smile. But I understand and enjoy life. Yes. Seeing how caring Len Ning was to his employees, the base representatives admired Len Ning even more. It is not unreasonable for the young lady to be able to achieve this level of vegetable base with a responsible employee like Zhao Cheng. Everyone, please follow me now and go to the sweet potato field to see the strength of the third level wood type superpowers. Len Ning finally looked at everyone again. Base representatives responded one after another. Then, the group followed Len Ning and Li Feng to the sweet potato field. When everyone arrived, Zhao Cheng had just finished growing sweet potatoes in a field and sat down to rest. Seeing Len Ning coming with a group of people, he quickly stood up to greet him. I've seen Miss. He bowed respectfully to Len Ning, and Zhao Cheng secretly glanced at everyone, thinking that these should be the representatives of the bases outside. That assistant Li said. Thank you Rtki baby for the flowers. 3. Epsilon. The wood type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 325. Yes, a smile appeared on Len Ning's lips. Have you visited your new home? Are you satisfied with it? She naturally appreciates and likes employees who perform well. Hearing Len Ning mention the house, Zhao Cheng immediately felt happy. I've seen it, and I'm very satisfied. Thank you, miss. Then he quickly thanked Len Ning. Before the end of the world, he was just an ordinary flower farmer, unable to earn even 2 cents a month. Among a group of people from the same village and the same age, which one is not doing better than him? At the age of 28, he was the only one in the village who had not yet married a wife. Because of him, his parents have always been unable to hold their heads high in the village. He also wants to work hard and make more money. But he has no education or skills, so he can only do some dirty and tiring work. That's all. He can work hard and be tired as long as he can make money. But the boss's performance was not good and he did not give him the opportunity to work overtime to make money. At that time, a person in the village who was doing well outside returned to the village. His parents called him and asked him to resign and go back. They said they had agreed with that person that they would let him take him out to make money in a few days. He hesitated before agreeing. After all, making money is more important than doing what you love. After that, he resigned with his boss and returned to the village. His parents took him to give him gifts, say nice things to him, and make him smile endlessly. At that time, he felt extremely uncomfortable, but he could only hold it in. Not only did he have to hold it in, he also had to say nice things to the smiling face. Reality is stronger than people, who makes him incompetent. He could only tell himself that he had to work harder, at least so that his parents would no longer worry about him. Then the end came. A poisonous fog mutated several people in the village. Fortunately, the zombies are under control. After the network was restored, and after confirming that the infected person was no longer a human being, several young adults set out to eliminate the bane of the village. At first, the villagers complained about the young adults, but the situation became worse and worse, and wandering corpses continued to come to the village. In desperation, the young men gathered other men in the village, including him, to form a team. While protecting the village, they are also looking for ways to seek outside help. The dilemma was not solved until someone from the Thunder base came to find him. Knowing that everything was in chaos outside, all the survivors in the village followed them to the Thunder base. Then it's a new beginning, and everyone makes their own living. Soon, my parents heard that several members of the village guard had awakened their powers and had registered as mercenaries with the mercenary union. Then, just like before, another acquaintance came to ask his parents how he was doing. I even asked him in front of him. When he said that he was just an ordinary person, they sighed repeatedly, comforted his parents, and then left with satisfaction. Just when he hated himself and thought he was losing to his peers again, he unexpectedly discovered that he had awakened the wood power. When he told his parents the good news, they didn't believe it for a while. He even comforted him, saying that even if he was an ordinary person, it would be fine if he could survive like this. He said that they no longer asked him to achieve anything, as long as he could accompany them for the rest of his life. He was deeply moved. I am more determined to get ahead. So, he took his parents and boldly went to the mercenary union. After some uneasy testing, the mercenary union finally determined that he was indeed a first-level wood element user. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 326. The moment he got the result, he almost jumped with joy. After the staff told him that the vegetable base was recruiting wood-type superpowers, he immediately signed up. On the way back, the smiles on my parents' faces couldn't be suppressed. When I meet an acquaintance, I tell them that he is also a person with superpowers. He would never forget that expression of happiness and pride in his life. His son finally gave his parents glory for the first time in the past 28 years. After entering the vegetable base, he has been working hard. Although the vegetable base used to implement hourly wages, he never thought of being lazy. During working hours, work with full concentration. Even when he is resting, he will study the mental power in the sea of consciousness by himself, try various methods, and find the most suitable way to use his mental power. This allowed him to make rapid progress, reaching the second level in a very short period of time, surpassing other colleagues who came to the vegetable base at the same time. Colleagues said he worked too hard, even with a hint of ridicule. After all, as wood-type supernatural beings, their lives are much better than those of ordinary people. Furthermore, there was no one above to supervise their work. Who could he show his hard work to? He laughed it off. He is different from them. He has been inferior to others since birth. Not as good as others in school, not as good as others in work. Now that he finally has a higher starting point than ordinary people, he naturally cherishes it more than others. Moreover, because the salary of a second-level wood superpower is much higher than that of a first-level wood superpower, his status in the eyes of acquaintances has gradually changed. Seeing that acquaintances respect and even envy me, my parents are also proud of me. He just felt that his whole body was full of energy. Because of this job, he moved his family out of Tongpu and moved into a small prefabricated house with better privacy. For this reason, more acquaintances looked at their family with admiration. There are even former neighbors who want to match him. When his mother told him the news, although he was happy, he did not agree. Before the end of the world, the ratio of men to women was out of balance, and it was difficult for men without skills to find a wife. This is also the reason why he is still not married when he is 28 years old. After the apocalypse, because women have worse physical fitness than men, the proportion of survivors is much smaller than that of men. It can be said that marrying a wife will only become more and more difficult. But now, he is not in a hurry. Someone came to talk to him as a matchmaker, which meant that he was doing well in the eyes of those people. And he felt pretty good about himself at the time. In addition, the lady came to the vegetable base and formulated a new policy. He has decided to use the crystal core to sprint to a higher level. Saving money for a wife is to make yourself stronger. It took him a long time to wait for such an opportunity, and he couldn't relax. After experiencing so many things, he understood in his heart that only when a man is strong and powerful can he protect the people around him and have a good life. It's not that he doesn't want to marry and have children, it's just that the time has not come yet. After that, he continued to work hard and used the borrowed crystal cores and spiritual pet juice to improve himself. After the vegetable base implemented piece rate wages, his salary was higher. Even after excluding the money that needed to be paid off for the loan, he still had a lot left over. But these are not the most important. What he was thinking about was not the salary, but the reward proposed by the lady. Yes, a house. Someone has been circulating for a long time that houses are being built in the base, and the progress is very fast, and there are already new houses built. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kge Now. Chapter 327. As for the price, that's something I don't even dare to ask. How many people are eyeing those houses, and how many can take action? Before the end of the world, he failed to save enough money to buy a house for his family, but now he saw an opportunity. As long as he can reach the third level. He worked hard for the house. His parents couldn't even stand his bewildered behavior. Fortunately, he won in the end and successfully reached the third level, becoming the strongest wood-type superpower in the vegetable base besides the lady. The lady did not break her promise and immediately gave him the key and fulfilled her promise. When he went back with the key to tell his parents the good news, they almost thought he was dreaming. But that's not a dream. It wasn't until he took them to see the house directly that they believed that their son really had a big future. Everything he has now is given by the lady, and he will follow her more carefully in the future. Strive to achieve greater results. As long as you are satisfied. Work hard. If you have any difficulties, you can ask Li Feng, Len Ning said with a smile on his face. Thank you, Miss. Zhao Cheng was greatly moved and thanked Len Ning again. These are representatives of the major surviving bases in City A. They came specifically to visit our vegetable base. Show us your supernatural strength, Len Ning then said to Zhao Cheng. A flash of light flashed in Zhao Cheng's eyes. Yes, he bowed and replied to Len Ning. Then he got up and walked to the side of the field. Then the mental power was mobilized to start the sweet potato vine that had just been cut to take root and spread. All the representatives were stunned by the scene in front of them. Compared with the second-level superpower they saw just now, who gave birth to bean sprouts, the strength of this third-level superpower is simply terrifying. I saw those sweet potato vines sprouting rapidly, and the sprouts quickly grew longer and thicker, and then new sprouts grew from them. In just 10 minutes, the entire field was covered with lush sweet potato vines. After spawning the sweet potato vines, Zhao Cheng came back to resume his life. At the same time, workers consciously came up and started picking sweet potato vines. Sweet potato vines are a good thing. Sweet potato tips can be used for cooking, when supplies were in short supply before. In addition to sweet potato tips, sweet potato leaves were also used as vegetables, and other parts can be used to raise pigs. Almost the whole body is a treasure. It's simply breathtaking. It's strange to think that with such a large population, Thunder Base still has room to develop the breeding industry, a base representative said excitedly. If their base could have such a third-level wood-type powerhouse, not to mention two, even one would be enough to solve the food supply problem of the entire base. So amazing. Awesome. For a moment, everyone expressed their admiration and envy. Hearing everyone's affirmation, Zhao Cheng was in a very good mood. Finally, he has now become the object of people's respect and envy. In addition to the group of base representatives in front of him, when he came to work today, his colleagues who usually disliked him suddenly changed. Some even took the initiative to get close to him, trying to get close to him. The taste of success is simply too wonderful. The third level and the second level are a very strong dividing line. Once you reach the third level, you have the opportunity to climb to a higher level. You have to keep working hard. Len Ning gave Zhao Cheng an encouraging look. She noticed that Zhao Cheng was not actually after he reached the third level. She had discovered this particularly hard-working employee a long time ago, and even deliberately asked the loan department to give him more juice. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 328. Fortunately, he was very upbeat and did not let himself down. Yes, Zhao Cheng will definitely live up to Mrs. expectations, Zhao Cheng said firmly to Len Ning. Well, you can continue your work. Len Ning nodded and motioned for Zhao Cheng to retreat. Yes, Zhao Cheng didn't hesitate and went back to work. After Zhao Cheng left, the mood of the base representative slowly calmed down again. Miss Len Ning, I have a question. Yan Yu, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. Everyone immediately looked at Yan Yu. Then I remembered that this man said that he was Mrs. Classmate before the end of the world. But from eating to visiting the vegetable base, they didn't see any special treatment or care from the young lady. Is it possible? Being looked at by everyone with strange looks, Yan Yu felt a little unnatural on his face, and at the same time he was also a little resentful towards Len Ning. Didn't she agree to entertain everyone because of herself? After all, they were classmates, so why didn't they give themselves any face? Yes. Classmate Yan, please tell me, Len Ning said in a gentle manner. She naturally recognized Yan Yu. After all, before teacher Zhang left with the survivors in the resort apartment, she had been on the duty team with him. But she didn't have a good impression of anyone except teacher Zhang, especially Han Yu, whom she had always thought about and couldn't forget. Now that Yan Yu has come to Thunder Base, how could she not ask him about Han Yu? It's just that it's still early and there are so many people here, so it's naturally unnecessary. Hearing Len Ning call Yan Yu classmate, everyone finally stopped looking at Yan Yu with strange eyes. This guy turned out to be the lady's classmate before the end of the world. So what if they are just classmates? Obviously, the lady doesn't have a good impression of him. Yan Yu is different. Hearing Len Ning address his classmate in front of everyone, Yan Yu thought that Len Ning finally recognized him, and felt a little proud in his heart. Although our Quanlan base does not have strong third-level wood-type superpowers, we do have several second-level wood-type superpowers. According to their feedback, their stimulation of plants can only be effective before the plants are developed. The subsequent links are not. There is no help. Yan Yu asked, I am very curious, is the situation of third-level superpowers the same? Wood-type superpowers cannot speed up the flowering and seeding of plants, which is currently one of the biggest problems in their base. Bean sprouts are the fastest growing vegetables. Because they are fast and efficient, they are currently the most ideal vegetable for the base. But every bean seed you use will result in a loss of one. If the wood-type superpowers are allowed to spawn bean sprouts without any care, the bean seeds in the base will soon be exhausted. At that time, fishing will be exhausted and there will be no food available. Len Ning's method is indeed good. A large number of fields are used to cultivate crops such as sweet potatoes and potatoes that do not require seeding. But this method needs to rely on strong wood-type superpowers, or there must be a sufficient number of wood-type superpowers to cooperate. Otherwise, the output will come out too slowly, and there will be so many mouths in the base that they simply can't wait. But according to his observations along the way, most of the vegetable base was workers, and there weren't many wood-type people working there. At least it didn't match what he saw as the food consumption of Thunder Base. There must be some secret in this. As soon as Yan Yu said these words, everyone looked at Len Ning. Many of them came from large bases, so naturally they also had questions from Yan Yu. But because he didn't want to offend Len Ning, he held back and didn't ask, waiting for others to ask this question that would most likely offend Len Ning. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 329. After all, this is probably the biggest secret of the vegetable base in Thunder Base. Fortunately, someone asked so quickly. Still the young man from Quanglan Base. After all, he is a yellow-haired boy who can't keep his temper. Len Ning's face was slightly startled. Just when everyone was gloating and waiting to see Yan Yu's joke, they saw Len Ning smiling. It's indeed the same then, he said calmly. Then how did you get the seeds for your Thunder Base? Yan Yu continued to ask as if he didn't notice the eyes of others at all. Everyone praised Yan Yu in their hearts. This young man has a good question. Ha ha. Len Ning was startled again. Yan Yu finally realized that his attitude just now was a little inappropriate, and unnaturally avoided Len Ning's gaze. Although third-level wood superpowers cannot promote crop flowering, pollination, and seed production, it is not difficult for fourth-level superpowers, Len Ning said calmly. It just so happens that my wood superpowers are 4th-level. In an instant, everyone's expressions turned pale. Yes, as the young lady mentioned before, she is the strongest wood-type superpower in this vegetable base and has reached level 4. Unexpectedly, the biggest secret in the vegetable base turned out to be the young lady herself. Yan Yu was also shocked on the spot. He had seen Len Ning's strength when he was at the resort. At that time, he thought she was a combat-type superpower, but later he learned that she was a special wood type. It has dual characteristics of auxiliary system and combat system. But despite this, he didn't think Len Ning was that powerful. Yan Yu has never seen Len Ning fight with a group of zombies. Because of his acquaintance with Len Ning, he was appointed as a base representative and came to the Thunder Base to study and communicate. Despite this, he didn't really think highly of Len Ning. In the post-apocalyptic world, the strong will be respected. A fragile girl like Len Ning would never be in her current position if she didn't have a powerful older brother. Who would have thought that Len Ning's wood-type abilities had reached the 4th level? Let's not talk about her combat-type abilities, as far as the auxiliary type is concerned. If it is true as she said, her 4th level wood ability can promote plant pollination and seed production, then it will be of great value. That's the rice field over there. If you are interested, I can show you the strength of the 4th level wood element, Len Ning said generously. Thank you very much, miss. This time it was Yan Yu who was the first to reply. He wanted to see how powerful Len Ning was now. The others also thanked Len Ning. Then, Len Ning took a group of people to the rice fields. Then he stood directly on the ridge of the field, stimulating the growth of already tall straw, allowing them to bloom quickly, and then continue to pollinate and ear. Soon, rice grew on the ears of rice. Grains of rice grew rapidly. The ears of rice began to become heavy, and soon they lowered their heads. In just a few minutes, Len Ning actually gave birth to a field of golden rice. The base representative's eyes widened and they were very shocked. After he calmed down, he looked at Len Ning with even more respect. Originally, they thought that the previous third-level wood element powerhouse was strong enough, but the lady's wood element generative ability was actually stronger than him. What's more important is that the lady can actually cause plants to bloom and produce seeds. It is no exaggeration to say that according to Mrs. Current's strength, one person is enough to support a base. Len Ning glanced at Li Feng. Li Feng immediately arranged for someone to come and harvest the rice. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 330. I basically catalyze the seeds in the base, and then divide some of them and give them to other wood-type superpowers to catalyze the mass production of vegetables, Len Ning explained to the crowd. Of course, when encountering the military or other when the department needs food urgently, I will personally help. Seeing everyone's excited expressions, Len Ning continued, but such situations are extremely rare. Because the base's output is increasing day by day, our vegetable base has already experienced a production surplus. Fortunately, my eldest brother gave me some space jade. I stored the excess grain and vegetables. After hearing this, how could everyone remain calm? Miss, there is extra food here. Most of the people in their base are hungry now. Miss Yan Yu was the first to fail to control himself and hurriedly spoke to Len Ning. But before he could say anything, the others snatched his words away. Miss, can you sell food to our Hope base? A base representative said loudly. Our Baikan base wants it too. And our Nanhe base. The scene was extremely noisy for a while. Len Ning smiled and waved, signaling for everyone to quiet down. After all the base representatives calmed down, they continued, actually, I made a proposal to sell food supplies to my eldest brother yesterday. I also made a rough price suggestion, but I haven't received any approval yet. Hearing Len Ning mention the word price, everyone's agitation suddenly subsided a lot. Shouldn't the Thunder base raise the price based on the ground? Can you tell me the price, please? Our Baikan base really needs food supplies. A middle-aged man hesitated before speaking to Len Ning. Their base is not big, but they have a large population. If there is no more food, some people will starve to death. He came to Thunder base originally to buy some arms and go back to strengthen the security of the base, but now he learned that there were food supplies for sale here. How could he miss this? Yes, miss, our base is also short of food, another base representative also said anxiously to Len Ning. So are we. There was another echo for a while. When everyone finally calmed down, a middle-aged man dressed elegantly suddenly sighed, since the end of the world, there have been fewer and fewer survivors. Only by helping each other can we survive. For a moment, everyone looked solemn. Representatives of these bases come here, on the one hand, to buy weapons, and on the other hand, to form an alliance with the powerful Thunder base. Only by cooperating with the strong can we avoid being devoured by zombies. It's easy to say that everyone is helping each other. But small groups each have their own interests, so how can they be absolutely selfless? Miss, you are now the hope of all our bases, the man followed. Len Ning was immediately put on the altar. Len Ning felt a little unhappy. She didn't mind being the hope of these bases, as long as they paid for food and supplies. But if you just want to use this high hat to trick her into becoming a virgin, then forget it. That's embarrassing for Len Ning. Len Ning made an emotional expression. I have to be honest. The price is indeed not cheap at the moment, but it is definitely an affordable price. Seeing everyone's expressions of embarrassment, Len Ning continued, the main thing is, except for the food and vegetables that our Thunder base uses for its own use, if we sell them to so many bases, the vegetable base may not be able to supply them. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 331. But please don't worry, when our production increases, the price will definitely come down. As soon as Len Ning said these words, everyone finally looked better. Well, the lady is right. Resources are limited and there is really no way to satisfy everyone. Whether it is before or after the apocalypse, the principles of business have never changed. The crystal core price should not be available for the time being. Our vegetable base currently lacks a large number of transportation vehicles, so we should give priority to selling the first batch of vegetables to buyers who can pay with space jade, Len Ning continued. Not only is her vegetable base short of space jade, but the various project departments engaged in the construction of the Thunder base, even the military department, and even the teams she plans to recruit in the future are all short of space jade. How much manpower and material resources can be saved by a piece of space jade? It just doesn't work too well. For a moment, the expressions of the representatives from each base were all stiff. Space jade, they naturally know this. They know its value even more clearly. Crystal nuclei are easy to get, after all, the zombies outside now basically have crystal nuclei in their heads. As long as the combat-type superpowers take some risks, it's not too difficult to get more crystal cores. But space jade is extremely rare. Among 100 pieces of jade jewelry, sometimes not even one space jade will come out. What's more, if you want to find jade jewelry outside now, the probability cannot be too low. At worst, let the space superpowers take over. Miss, tell me how the price is calculated if you use space jade to buy food supplies, one person said suddenly excitedly. Now that people are almost starving to death and can no longer survive, what are they still thinking about? Besides, it's not like there's no way to replace the space jade. It's not like there aren't any space power users in the base, they are also very willing to follow the combat power users and go out on missions together. There is no space jade in the base, but those with space powers can still do it. Yes, miss, tell me, another person followed. Then, several people looked at Len Ning and surrounded her. Len Ning glanced at the base representatives who had not come over, and said with a smile to the people who came over, give them as much space jade as possible, and we will exchange it for grain and vegetable crops of the same capacity. The representatives' eyes lit up. This sounds like a good deal. Now in their major bases, the vegetables and grains on the market have been sold at sky-high prices. Even so, crystal cores may not be available for purchase. The price offered by the lady is simply not too cheap. Of course, the proportion of vegetable crops will be stipulated, and some of each type will be allocated. Len Ning continued, we will stipulate the specific allocation rules, and the quality is guaranteed. It is guaranteed to be more cost-effective than buying them individually. Cheap. For these people, the answer is, of course, yes. Why set the price so low? Haha, naturally it is to suppress the development of wood-type superpowers in major bases. When the food and vegetables she provides are cheaper than the major base's own wood-type superpowers, will the major bases still want to cultivate their own strong wood-type superpowers? Do these wood-type superpowers still think about spawning vegetables and food on their own? In other words, can they still make money by using their wood power to spawn vegetable crops? As a person with auxiliary powers, if you can't make money, you can't get transparent crystal cores. Without a transparent crystal core, they cannot advance. If they can't advance, they can't become stronger. If they can't become stronger, they will never be able to compete with her for the market. In this way, her family will provide the entire food and vegetable supply in Cydia from now on.